What's going on, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Hope you guys are doing well, better than the Jets. Tired of doing these post-game recaps following losses. Tired of hearing all the excuses, the moral victories, the champions of great weeks of practices, and then we come out and we see the same product week after week. And for Aaron Glenn to once again embarrass himself with the media for a second consecutive week following another loss, it's incredibly deflating as a fan because you are looking for little things to hold on to and to buy into and to believe in. And even in the face of defeat, having the right coach with the right mindset and the right attitude following those losses could ultimately give you a little bit of confidence that maybe this giant ship that's going to turn slow could actually still eventually get situated the right way. But when we have Aaron Glenn going out of his way to say that this is not the same old Jets because they fought hard and they battled to the end, like these are the same recycled quotes. He even dropped the instant coffee line again. The fact that he's not able to acknowledge the lack of effort, the inability to tackle on defense, the costly penalties, even though the Bucks especially, like the Bucks had 14 penalties for 120 something yards. We couldn't even take advantage of that because we still had the two turnovers with the fumble and then the pick six. Questionable decisions as far as the penalties that he accepted on the 3rd and 9, which became 4th and 9. He backed them up 3rd and 19, then 3rd and 29. And then, of course, Sauce with the horrific pass interference. I'll continue to spotlight the Jets' two biggest players with Sauce and Garrett Wilson. I think both need to be much better. Sauce was getting picked on in coverage. His effort when it comes to trying to make tackles just looks awful. It looks half-ass. He's pretty much always standing upright. He never actually, puts his head in there to try to make a tackle. And the one time that he did, he got himself hurt and he was in concussion protocol. He did come back into the game after that. But Sauce does not look like a $30 million a year player by any means. And even Garrett Wilson, it seems like he's had at least one droppable ball, or at least one catch that was catchable that he's dropped in each of the first 3 games so far this year. And then you could even point to the pick six when you really look at it. If he keeps working his way back to the football, maybe that's not a pick six. Again, I don't know what the exact expectation was on the route that he ran, but certainly if he would have kept fighting a little bit forward for the football instead of just standing right there on the sideline like he was, maybe that's not a pick six. And maybe that's, the difference in the ball game. Maybe that was, what ultimately changed it. So just so many different things to point at and nitpick. And ultimately for me, again, like my expectations coming into the year were what they were. I wasn't expecting a playoff team. I wasn't expecting double-digit wins or anything crazy like that. But I was genuinely hoping to see a different mindset and a different attitude from the head coach and ultimately the team start to develop an identity. And it seems like we are so far away from that. It seems like more than anything that we're literally getting a repeat or a combination of Gase and Bowles and just all the previous Saleh, like all the previous head coaches that didn't work out. It seems like Aaron Glenn is just taking little bits and pieces from each of them. Just for example, like the first 2 drives for the Jets, I think we had like 80 something yards, looked like they were moving the football okay. And then the next 6 drives, they had a combined total, I think, of 4 yards. So like with Gase, the scripted plays always worked and then nothing worked after that. And then obviously just the post-game pressers, hearing the rationalizing of certain decisions and, being snippy with the media. And it just seems like Aaron Glenn is trying his best to defend anything and everything instead of calling out things that need to be called out and going out of his way to say this is not same old Jets when fans that have been watching this for decades like I have know that this is exactly a same old Jets type of loss. The team doesn't show up for 45 minutes. They rally late. And then, of course, on 2 occasions, let's remember that, on 2 occasions, the Jets defense had a chance to make a stop. First, when they were down 26-20, they couldn't do it. Bucks should have been able to ice the game right there on the field goal. They get bailed out with Will McDonald blocking the kick, running it all the way back. You have the lead, 2 minutes left. Now, all you got to do is protect the lead. Can't even do that. How many times do we have to say that about a fucking Jets defense? They have a lead late, and they can't close the door. They can't close it out. They can't get off the field. And so I'll look at everybody on that defense and say, Will McDonald played well. Quinton Williams played well. Quincy got hurt, which sucks because Sherwood has not looked good all year. I don't think Michael Carter has looked good all year. And I think Cisco and Brandon Stevens have arguably been liabilities every time that they're out there on the field, both in coverage and trying to make tackles. Just poor angles, arm tackles, questionable effort running to the football. These things you could see for yourself on film. And the fact that we haven't heard Aaron Glenn call it out yet, that he talks about this team's fight and how inspired they are, fighting to the end, and that this is the identity that we talked about all offseason. Like, what planet is this guy living in? How delusional is he? And the fact that he's willing to take that little rally in the fourth quarter and try to use that and say, oh yeah, this is who we are. When we still lost the game, we still blew it anyway. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. I really don't know what we're doing here. We were promised something different, a different mindset, a different attitude. Somebody from the Parcells era that understood what it would take to wipe away the stench of years and years of losing. Aaron Glenn witnessed it firsthand, and by all indications, everything that he's doing and saying is way too familiar and doesn't inspire me that anything's going to change. And even in the mold of Saleh, it's starting to feel like more and more we're seeing that guy who's very rah-rah when things are going well. He's dancing after the kick return, clapping it up when the team's losing 10-3, clapping it up after the game, which somebody's got to explain what was going on there, because he literally had a smile on his face and he was clapping after the Bucs made the field goal to win the game. So he was satisfied with the fact that the Jets lost, but they competed to the end. That was enough for him. That's where the bar is at right now. That's the standard. Just play hard. Just fight. It's okay if we lose. So, again, it's 3 games. And according to Aaron Glenn, that's all the reason that you need not to overreact, because we still have 14 games left, according to Aaron Glenn. Like, is this what we signed up for? Like for all the people that were in favor of hiring Aaron Glenn or that defended it the entire offseason, what we've seen, and I know it's only 3 weeks, but what we've seen so far through 3 weeks, was this what you expected? And forget the record. Right? I don't care about the record. Just in terms of physicality, identity, culture building, the way he talks following games and in between the week, is this anything different than what we've seen the past 14 years? Does this inspire you that anything is changing? If so, please let me know, and please let me know why. Otherwise, this looks and feels way too familiar, and I really, really don't know what it's going to take to actually change it, just from a mindset standpoint from Aaron Glenn, because it appears that in his mind, he feels that he's right all the time, that if the media questions anything about his decision-making, why he didn't go for a 2-point conversion, or why the team didn't get sacks, oh, well, we got held 7 times, that's why the numbers weren't there, so I'm pleased with that aspect. It seems like he has an excuse or a way to rationalize almost everything. He defended Clemens last week. He gets hit with another personal foul this week. I know if you look at the tape, it didn't look like he actually grabbed the face mask. But again, it's a player that is constantly finding ways to get 15-yard penalties. And again, today, got another one called on him. Shouldn't have been called, but you want to take away that play? You want to go to the Baker Mayfield 40-yard run where he didn't contain on the outside? Another play where a player that shouldn't have been on the roster cost you in a big moment. And we called it out with Xavier Gibson in week 1. Stevens and Cisco, I'll keep saying it. I don't think these guys should be here. I would cut them right now. I don't care how much you paid them in the offseason. They're both terrible. They both need to go. Offensive line, unfortunately, today was a complete disaster. Couldn't pick up a blitz to save their fucking life. Fashanu with penalties. I mean, what player would you highlight? And again, it's only 3 weeks, but if you could highlight any player, what player would you highlight that you would say this coaching staff so far has gotten more out of a player than the previous regime? Like, who is it? I feel like Sauce is regressing. Garrett Wilson's regressing. Braylon Allen, we hardly have a chance to use him at all because we're always trying to come from behind. Like, who is it? Who's the player that you can look at and you say, you know what, that guy's gotten better? Lazard caught a touchdown. Thought it was going to get reversed on the review. Like, imagine coming into this game and saying Will McDonald and Alan Lazard are going to score touchdowns, and the Bucs would have 10 penalties for over 100 yards. and the Jets would still find a way to lose. Like, the football gods hate us when it comes to fumbles. We can never jump on a loose ball, a fumble. Defense can never close out a game late. I'm just so tired of the same scripts taking place week after week after week. It's nauseating. It's exhausting. It gives me a headache. And that game just in general, especially the first half, the amount of penalties that we saw, it made it impossible to watch. So I really don't know what else to say. Apologies for ranting for over 10 minutes here, but these types of games just really deflate you as a fan because you want to cling on to like the smallest of things. And I know some people, the moral victories are going to be there because the team fought hard in the fourth quarter. But to me, that was just too little too late. We heard once again this week about a great week of practice, yet the team didn't show up in the first half. And the defense really hasn't shown up all year. And so when you hire a defensive-minded head coach, who I know has said that he's going to be involved in all aspects of the team, special teams, offense, and stuff like that, but you're a defensive-minded head coach whose defense wasn't exactly great with the Lions, where he was previously, and now we're 3 weeks in, and none of these players, whether it's, you're talking about the guys that were here already with Sauce and Sherwood, or the guys that you brought in with Cisco and Stevens, none of these guys have really played well or better than they have in previous spots. So just looking at where this team is at right now, currently number one pick. So if you want to start the tankathon and start evaluating draft picks, I completely get it, because it feels like this season is not going to have the Tyrod Taylor magic that I think many people were hoping, like Vinny taking over in 98 when the team was 0-2. Like, this team's just not built for that. So it absolutely sucks that we're here already after 3 games, 0-3, with a coach telling us it's not same old Jets, yet our eyes are telling us this is exactly same old Jets. Talk to you guys later.